Oft discussed in modern times are the political platforms of the two major parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and how they have different views and different value sets that represent the people who typically vote for them, even though they themselves may also be fragmented. You can make an argument that the Democratic Party really is two different parties. Same thing for the Republican Party. Otherwise, though, back in the era of the 1830s and the Jacksonian time frame, the Democrat platform under Jackson was to limit the power of the federal government, other than to eliminate social and economic arrangements that stifled opportunity and kind of entrenched privilege, if that makes sense. They wanted to protect states' rights. They were very big about that, unless the state kind of went out of bounds and stifled social and economic mobility. Otherwise, though, they celebrated states' rights. They celebrated the honest worker, the simple farmer, the forthright businessman, the everyday common type person. And they contrasted that with corrupt aristocratic forces of established wealth. And Democrats typically supported territorial expansion as they saw it as an opportunity to widen opportunities for aspiring Americans to move out west and to have various different mobility. And from an ethnic standpoint and from a religious standpoint, you really saw more Catholics move and gravitate towards the Democratic Party. And that was something that also kind of drew a little bit more of a line in the sand between them and the Whig Party platform. The Whigs favored expansion of federal power. Okay, they were very much the Federalists in this relationship, as you were. And they believed in expansion of federal power, industrial and commercial development. They saw westward expansion, though, as being somewhat unstable. The reality of it was, Whigs oftentimes saw westward expansion as being unstable because it threatened their power, as many East Coast elites held on to power, especially in places like New York. The further west you advance, the more people move, and the less power you hold as a state. And when folks have power, they typically do not want to relinquish. So, from that standpoint, Whigs were against territorial expansion. They tended to be wealthier. They were more commercially ambitious than Democrats. They typically were white Protestant folks from various different arenas around the country. They nicknamed Andrew Jackson King Andrew the First as kind of a knock on him, as somebody who's solely interested in a power grab. Otherwise, though, you saw from a Whig perspective a varied differentiation from Jacksonian Democrats. And that's how the parties really differentiated themselves at the time, much the same way modern day Republicans and Democrats do as well. You see figments of each political party's platform within these old parties, the Democrats and the Whigs, in various different ways. They're not one for one. They're not exactly the same. Obviously, things have evolved over the past 200 years or so. But, favored expansion of federal power. Uh, More of a leaning towards states' rights and limiting federal power. Sounds kind of familiar. So, this is nothing new in American history, and from a political standpoint, its advent in the Andrew Jackson era really rings true.